Kayla Johnson, the instruction librarian here at Fant Library. I'm your co-host, and I'm with
Jordan Barlow, Access Services Associate here at Fant Library, your other co-host. And today we are being joined by
Jared Quist, Metadata Librarian at Fant Library.
Welcome, Jared.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is episode 6, and so thank you for joining us for our 6th episode. We're going to start off with a couple of questions, and so feel free to answer however you want to, or if there's something that either sparks a different turn of questions, or wherever the conversation wants to take you. This is going to be something that our listeners can identify with, or learn from, or just something to know a little bit more about you. Okay. So I'll start off with the questions, and this is our category of getting to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Very light work. No need to be nervous.
Okay.
Let's see. What's something about your job that might surprise students or faculty?
Something about my job that might surprise students. Well, I work with a lot of special collections materials, and I think that might be interesting to students who may not be aware of our special collections. We have all different kinds of books. We have hard copies of every master's thesis that's written by a student here at the W, and that goes back decades. We have some going back to the 1910s. Oh, wow. Back when the school was the Industrial Institute in college, and some of them are handwritten. So it's really interesting. Part of my work just as a metadata librarian, I do a lot of cataloging. So I end up touching a lot of those materials in my day-to-day job. I think those things can be a little surprising. I always encourage students to take a look at our catalog at what we have in special collections.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, Kayla, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Sure thing. So let's see. How does your work in metadata support student learning and creativity at the university?
Yeah, I guess I should probably start by explaining a little bit about what metadata is, because I think sometimes people see that title and it's maybe an unusual word, but really metadata is data about data. And since libraries are hubs for information, one of the things that we need to do is describe what that information is. So that's a lot of my work is cataloging. If a student goes to the online catalog and they're looking for a particular book or a particular subject, I create the records that a student would see in the catalog to understand what that book is, what it's about, and most importantly, where to find it. So that's really the big thing that we do to help student learning as in the metadata space, is to provide that kind of contextual information for students. Otherwise, they would be kind of wandering around. It would be difficult to find things. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up. I don't think a lot of people consider how much thought and consideration goes into how people locate things. How do they recognize them as being helpful to either like their personal or academic projects?
Yeah, and I think it's a big part of what librarians do is organizing information and knowledge. And it's one of those behind the scenes things that I think people maybe don't think about, but it is really an important element of librarianship. And we do some of that legwork for students so that they have a kind of base of information to access.
Mm-hmm. So how do you see your work intersecting with other parts of the library? This can include like instruction, research help, events.
Yeah, so one of the nice things about working at Fant, we're a smaller library, so we wear a lot of different hats. So I'm not just doing cataloging work, but I also help out with reference and instruction. I'm chair of our library's wellness committee, and we're always trying to think of ways to do student wellness activities. So we always try and do things around exam week to make things a little easier for students. We have snacks, we have coloring tables, puzzles, things like that. And then, of course, on the cataloging side, I think, a big part of our reference work is always involved in the catalog and that online space and helping students navigate that. So I think providing those initial records is a huge part of that research help.
Can you share an example of a project or a collection that really showed the value of what you do?
Yeah. Well, the big thing that I've been working on, well, I've been working on several projects over the past few years, but one of the big ones is a project related to an alum named Blanche Colton Williams, who was, she graduated early in the university's history, late 1800s, and then she went on to live in New York. She taught at Columbia, she taught at Hunter College. And she became kind of an expert on short story writing in the early part of the 20th century. She was the first editor of the O. Henry Short Story Award collections, which still come out every year. And she donated right before she died, she donated her library, a big chunk of her personal library, to the university.
Wow.
And so those items were in the library's collection and they kind of got lost to time. But in the past few years, we've been pulling them together. We've had to do some detective work because the catalog records didn't indicate that they were a Blanche Colton Williams book. So we've really been working to pull those together, get them in special collections. And she donated, I think, just over 1,000 titles in the 1940s. We've recovered close to 500 at this point. Yeah, and it's really interesting. They're full of her annotations, inscriptions from the authors. There are postcards and photographs in those books. So that project has been really exciting because we think it's a really valuable collection for research. If people are interested in alums, in the history of short story writing, it's a really valuable collection to have, and now that's housed in special collections.
I agree. For those of you who don't know, Jared and Stephanie went to do some additional research in New York last semester. We were so proud of them, and we're very excited to see where this project goes.
Yeah, thanks. It's so fun to work on it. I'm currently working on an article. Stephanie and I had been writing an article about Blanche and our experience pulling that collection back together, and we're hoping to get it published soon. But yeah, it's just a really fascinating woman and a really I think, rich collection for research.
Nice.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do some deep diving myself on that. That sounds fascinating. Okay, well, so I meant to ask you this question earlier, and this is gonna be kind of like a two-parter, but what first drew you to work in a library setting? But this question that I have for you is also, is there a moment you thought, yes, this is why I do the work that I do? So what initially drew you to working in a library setting, but also was there a moment that you had that was like, yeah, I made the right decision by following this path?
Well, what drew me to it, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in political science and communication, and I thought I was going to work in politics. And then very close to graduation, I had a moment of not wanting to work in politics anymore, which was difficult for me because it meant that I had to do a little soul searching about what a career could look like for me in the future. And I kind of wandered around for a few years. I did a year of AmeriCorps volunteer service, which was really interesting. I got to travel the country. And then I did about a year and a half in an office environment, so I got to see what that kind of work would be like. And I knew I didn't want to stay there, so I had to do a lot of thinking about what my future would be. And I settled on librarianship because I knew I wanted a job that was in some sort of public service setting. And I think the very core of what librarians do is just help people. It's such a public service based job that it really appealed to me. So yeah, I went to library school, and the rest is history. And it was just a really good experience. I got to work as a graduate assistant at a university library, and I think that just kind of further reinforced that it was the right path for me. And what was the second part of the question?
Have you ever had a moment where you thought, yes, this is why I do this work?
Yeah. So as far as a moment where I knew that I wanted to do this work, I don't know if there's a particular moment, but there's always a great feeling when you're at the reference desk and a student comes in, they need help with some research, you're able to provide them with access to a book they need or an article they need, and sometimes even just give them the reassurance that they're on the right track with their project or something. And I think that kind of interaction with people is the part of librarianship that really makes it feel worth it for me.
I mean, I can relate to that. That's always been you build those relationships at the desk, and getting to see people that you're constantly working with, or getting to see that research come into fruition. I mean, that's that's exciting to know that you were helping as like the initial seed of research, and to know that it's gonna turn into a completely evolved project, and to see how those that were helping with research have turned it into, I don't know, their finished product.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was doing a one-on-one research consultation with a student in one of our master's programs, and she was at the very start of her research. She was just getting things figured out, and then, you know, about a year later, I catalog every physical thesis that comes in, and so I saw her master's thesis come in, the finished product, and I had that kind of like feeling of happiness for her that she got through it and created this really interesting piece of work. So it's nice to see that kind of full circle moment. I think you can see that a lot in academic libraries as students go through their college careers. So that's really rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to think that they're only here for 4 years or less, depending on the program they're in.
Yeah.
And then, but to see them eventually flourish into, you know, who they want to be, and with that education that they've gained, as you said, it's a full circle moment. So, so you have a yes, this is why this work moment.
Yeah, that it got to me eventually. I got to the exact moment. That's the one. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pass it on back over to Anna.
Gotcha. And may I also add that I just love hearing like your librarian origin story. We get to hear everyone's like when they come through, and I just really, I don't know, it's. I'm trying to find the words that don't make me sound too sappy.
Be sappy.
Be
Go ahead,
for
be
the
sappy.
podcast.
It's for the views.
Okay. It just really makes me happy. Like, it makes my heart sing to just hear about everyone's story and how just like service and helpfulness and compassion for others is just at the heart of who we are, and how that translates in our position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that everyone's answer has been like dedicated to the service oriented, and just, I don't know, all the different paths that we've heard over the course of the series. It's interesting to see, like, these are people we work with every single day, and to finally hear these stories of like, yeah, this is actually how I managed to get myself into this, and, you know, here's what I'm actually doing with it. And yeah, so I mean, you know, it's exciting, and it's
everyone has a unique path here, which is fun. Yeah. But even like in my experience of life before I became a librarian, when I was just a person interacting with librarians, they're always so helpful. I think that's really a huge part of kind of the personality of a librarian. They always want to find a way to help you, and I think that is such a nice career to have, that you're, it's just so focused on support.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those impactful careers that's, you know, everyone has that story of like, oh, this is how a librarian helped me, and, you know, I'm no stranger to that as well. But it's also just this, you know, it can feel like such an unseen profession, but also be one of the most seen professions of just, I don't know, I don't know what our profession would be described as in terms of how we relate to everybody, but also, I don't know.
Something to gnaw on.
Something to gnaw on.
I feel like I always get us like in touch with our emotions before this section.
That's
Where
good.
we talk about feelings and impact.
We've reached the sappy part of the podcast episode, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think we do that. We lead into it, and then we bring it kind of down.
And then we bring it back up.
And then we bring it back up. Let's see. So what kind of atmosphere or experience do you hope people walk away after engaging with the projects that you've worked on?
I hope that, I think the goal of metadata work is always that you want to be really accurate in how you're describing things. You want a student to know what they're getting before they go to the shelf to grab it. So I think if I've done my job correctly, usually a student will find a resource that is fitting what they're looking for. even if it's not an exact match, it's at least, the right subject area, it gets them started. So that's really the big focus when we're cataloging, that we're accurately describing a work, we're getting it in the right spot. And also for the online portion, the metadata portion, we do this thing called linked data. And those are the subject headings that we'll put on a record, so it'll connect to other items that are similar. That's a huge part of what we do as well, to kind of connect information. So if the records are working the way they're supposed to, then students should be able to access the resources they need.
Yes. Accessibility and user experience is always very important to us. So yeah.
Yeah, I also should say, we have a great copy cataloger as well, Leslie, who's been at the library longer than I think any of our other library employees. So
30 years.
Yes, and she does all of our copy cataloging. She's so great at it and very knowledgeable about the university too. So yeah, I don't do it alone. I have a whole team of technical services people, and they're our two catalogers that we get stuff into the system so people can access it.
Jared, helpful and humble. Okay, Greg. It's like, I'm being honest.
Yeah, but it's just funny the way you said it. You just said helpful and humble. So
That's my tagline.
So on our directory, we just need to update everything of just like our superlatives, and then we have Jared, helpful and humble. I'm gonna start putting everyone's taglines on their office doors.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And our next question would be, how do you measure success in your role, and what makes you feel like you've made a difference? Because you're very, I feel like Jordan has said this before, like you're very like behind the curtain. Like you're out on the reference desk, at the circulation desk, but for the most part, a lot of your duties happen like in your office.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
He's like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right. I think the nice thing about a lot of the work I do is that so much of it is with physical items. So I have kind of this visual representation of work getting done. And it's really just about like moving items out of my office onto shelves, or into Athena, our book robot, and basically making sure that those things are accessible. So once an item is like carted out of my office, I know that it's done, it's cataloged, it's ready to go. So that's kind of a big way that I measure success is through that, just kind of the tangible items being moved into the system for students and faculty to access.
Yeah, something that's really fun is just that we, as librarians, we all have quirks, and the cart is one of our quirks. So there is an ongoing joke of just who has what cart associated with their workstation. And then we look over at Jared's and we're like, Jared, you've stolen all the carts.
I do have a running problem of having too many carts. There were shelves installed in my office to avoid my obsessive cart usage, but then I just put more carts in front of the shelves. So that is a real problem for me. I'm working on it.
First step is admitting the problem.
I'm working on it. I'm not doing well. But I'm trying. I'm not really trying, but I like to say it for the podcast.
It's great. I think I told you that before, that your office looks very librarian. It's just
Lots
like
of stacks
books.
and piles
Yes.
and things. Yeah. Usually when we have lull time, so like in between, like when we're about to hit winter break, or when we're here kind of on our summer period, university's still operating, of course, but it's a little slower. I try to take that time to clean out my office a little bit. And then usually the fall semester hits and it's like pandemonium again. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it means that I always have stuff to do, so that's good.
Yeah, it's like we try to do like a reset of our areas and spaces. It just
Things creep back in.
It does.
Yeah.
But that does show that we're doing a lot of work around here. It just, it's in our stacks and carts.
Right.
It feels like a game of shoots and ladders, like stacks and carts. Can we turn that into a game?
Probably.
It does sound fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah, and don't let them think that their like office is just
No.
cluttered. It's very charming.
Oh, good. That's a good description. That's what I'm gonna call my office from now on.
charming.
As I'm surrounded by things that are about to fall on me. It's charming.
We have a bunch of books. The thesis collection has toppled over
Right.
Jared.
We'll just say that I've been charmed when the books are pushing me. Yeah.
You know, it makes me think of that new, like, arcane librarian game that's out. Like, it's just books thrown everywhere.
I've seen that. I said, who put these books on the floor?
It was the evil fairy. So, Jared, you know what? It's an evil fairy that's just, throwing books everywhere.
That's why I didn't download that game. I was like, no, I wouldn't be able to rest until everything's sorted.
There's a game where you just organize library
Yes,
books.
yes. And it's infuriating, but also cathartic. And you can get a badge if you don't gain any of the power-ups. So one of the power-ups is like, insight, and it
Yeah.
shows you where the books are located throughout the stacked portions. And then there's another one that's like a shelf locator that tells you exactly where to go put those books without you
That's
having to look in the
interesting.
catalog.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can get a special badge if you don't use any of the power-ups, and it's what, 4,357 books that are scattered everywhere?
I think so. It's supposed to be a big library,
Mhm.
and I think you get like a little bonus or something if you get the collections together.
Mhm.
I was like, well, obviously they need to be together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I need to start playing, go from my day job as a librarian, go home and then immediately start playing the virtual library.
Hey, it's an addicting occupation because when I was out on leave, I literally played Tiny Bookshop for the
Wow.
entirety of my leave, just because I was like, I miss being able to talk about books. And so I played a game where I was offering recommendations of
Yeah.
books. So you don't escape.
It never leaves you, yeah.
Anyways, where were we?
Oh, we were looking forward.
We were looking forward. Okay,
Okay.
great. Okay, so this next series of questions are going to be kind of pertaining to, what kind of plans does Jared have for the future? Let's see. So you mentioned that you're in a couple of committees, or at least you mentioned the one committee, but I happen to know that you're associated with several.
Yeah.
But if you could design a dream project, event, or service for the library, what would it be?
Well, a dream project for me, I've been doing a lot of work we have this large collection of vinyl records, and they've been a part of the library for decades.
Yes.
But they were never put into the online catalog because there was a time when vinyl records kind of fell out of popularity. Now they're popular again. So we decided to keep them. Our music department's really excited about them. I would love to do a project related to that. We've been in the process. It's taken a long time to inventory them because there are, I think, over 7,000 records. Yeah, so we've been inventorying them. We've been cleaning them so that they're playable. And we also have a record player now. And I would love to do a project to really introduce that collection to campus, because I think that it's useful not only for our music students, but I think it could be valuable to theater students as well. There's a whole range of music there. There's Broadway show recordings, there are poetry recordings, and there are also some special recordings from the Mississippi University for Women Choir back in like the 1970s.
Nice.
They have a record called Sugar, Spice, and Everything Nice.
Okay, that's adorable.
And we have about, I think, a dozen copies of it, maybe. So there's that historical W connection as well with that collection. So there's a lot of really interesting things in there, and hopefully when it's done and cataloged, we can do something really fun to kind of introduce it and relaunch it to the university.
Do you think we would ever get like a listening space, or I know some libraries do like listening docks where it's like set up like a phone booth, but
Yeah, I've seen that. Maybe. The current setup that we're envisioning right now, we have an AV cart that our record player is on. So it has electrical outlets and it's on wheels. You could wheel it into a study room, plug it in and listen. We have headphones. So that's kind of the vision right now. But I, would love to see in the future it become maybe a more permanent fixture somewhere in the library. But yeah, I think it's just a really interesting collection, and it's been so much fun to kind of dig into those records and see what we have. So yeah, some sort of event to kind of excite people about those.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to see how people on campus would want to get involved, because I mean, look, we have poetry readings all the time, or at least our MFA program has readings, and that would be something to hear, or at least hear these poetry readings through
Yeah.
our collection.
Mhm.
Maybe just like an understanding of rhythm and who knows.
Listening party.
I would
Like
like a
talks
listening
and
party.
things.
That would be really nice. Yeah, and even just like incorporating it more into, we do these book displays, and we did one for jazz where we
Yes.
were able to pull some jazz records and incorporate that. So yeah, different things like that to kind of introduce these different types of collections to campus.
Yeah, and I think I really liked it with the jazz display, because it put it into a broader perspective than just not, we have books, it's,
Yeah.
you know, hey, there are other supplemental ideas on how to get involved with this, you know, topic of discussion. So I think, I don't know, we'll have to brainstorm some other ways to really utilize those records as display pieces.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Where do you see the library growing in the next few years, and how does your role fit into that vision?
I think one of the exciting things about working at FANT is that we're always interested in ways that we can make the library more accessible to students, more welcoming to students. We're always brainstorming those ideas. I mean, we're here in the Creator Studio that was created to give kind of multimedia experiences for students. So I think things like that are kind of expanding the idea of what the library can be, I think that's what our future is. You know, we always are kind of brainstorming new ideas. One of the things that I'm really excited about, our wellness committee put together these wellness kits for students. So we have a sensory kit that has fidget toys and earplugs, things that would help students that maybe want some like kind of sensory breaks, brain breaks while they're studying. We have those kits available for checkout. We also have parent kits. So if a student is a parent of a young child and they want to study in the library and maybe have something for their child to play with, we have those kits as well that have some toys in them and a link to a LibGuide with book recommendations for their kids. So yeah, we have those kinds of things, and I hope that those get utilized in the future. Yeah, I think that's kind of where libraries are going in general. There's this real push to kind of grow the idea of what a library can be, and I think that's something we're really focused on here at FAN.
Oh. Is there any articles or anything that you would recommend, or?
Well, there are some articles. The wellness kit idea came from some things that other libraries were doing. Penn State has done this. Michigan State has done this. So there are some articles out there about kind of making libraries more accessible for neurodivergent students, and thinking about how to kind of reinvent study spaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting kind of research out there about these kinds of topics, but it's definitely a big kind of hot topic in the library world. Yeah.
I mean, that's also been like a major thing, and just to know that we're trying to evolve our library space and not necessarily gearing towards our, field of service, towards the traditional aspect of education. It's starting to take on more of a broader view of what university life could look like, and it's been pretty exciting to see like all these. The wellness kits have been something really exciting to see as they've come into a reality of things. I remember you talking about it in its early stages of what is this actually going to look like for us, and how do we actually market this, but also how is this going to be effective for our community. And so it's pretty exciting to see all these projects that are for the betterment of campus life, but also just to really engage with modern librarianship. But yeah, all right.
It's like I was telling Anita last week. It was in response to this jumping spider that had got into the library, and I ran away from it instead of like squishing it. And I was like, no, libraries are for everyone. And I feel like that applies too. Libraries are for everyone regardless of what they need and how they need it, should be able to come to the library and find assistance, whether that be with our wellness kits or with our fancy new scanner, Ganley.
We love Stanley.
Stanley.
Or even with our accessibility desk.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have a standing desk now and
Yeah.
with an accessible keyboard and mouse. Yeah.
Oh, and this will be a great time to also talk about our self-help desk.
Yes.
This is actually located in that front corral by the printer. So feel free, this is a part of our Sustainability Act. We're trying to find ways that promote sustainability on campus, but these are for supplies. So if you need extra pieces of paper, or if you need to, laminate things, we have our laminator, but just be sure to bring the pockets with you. We do have scissors available. Well, no, scissors are at the front desk, but extra pens and pencils that you may need, or just things that you feel may be beneficial to your day-to-day. And feel free to donate things to this. This is one of those spaces that it's kind of like a little free library kind of opportunity. Take a page, leave a page, whatever the case may be. If you feel like you want to share leftover office supplies that you don't need or don't have a use for, someone on campus may need it. But yeah, this is, that was kind of a good project that is now starting to take shape.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's been pretty nice to see where this library is headed, just in terms of how we're able to help and, be a service to our community. I don't know, maybe that's the point of this podcast, not necessarily to learn about librarianship on a deeper level. It's more or less to just kind of take stock of, how much of an impact we are having with our community, both on campus and off campus. Yeah, so that's been.
It can be both.
It can be both.
Yeah, like if anyone out there is interested in librarianship, we'd be happy to talk with you about it. We have a high job satisfaction rate. Just saying. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes with our student workers. I'm like, you should become a librarian.
And I think we've successfully recruited some over the years. Yeah.
There's been several people that have gone through library school just because they've worked in the library space, and we may even have a few yet that are working with us this year. But yeah, it's pretty funny to see them come into the space and like, oh, it's just going to be this, and then they come to realize that it's going to be a broader sense of what it means to be a service, to be in a service industry.
Okay. But I'm also really happy that you brought up donating earlier, because one of my closing questions would be, do you have any advice for students or faculty who want to get more involved with library services or collections, but they don't know where to start?
Well, donating.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
We've had faculty members donate materials to the library, which have been really helpful to add to our collections, and I've cataloged those materials as they've come in. I cataloged, one of the first projects I had when I started here was cataloging, I think, almost 200 art books that were donated. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it. Giving us those materials, checking with our collections librarian, Rachel, to see if those materials might be a good fit for the library. Yeah, so that's helpful. And I know Archives is always looking for stuff, so I'll put out an extra call for them because they're always looking for materials related to the W's history, especially social clubs. So that's a huge way to help out. Join Friends of the Library. I don't know, do you guys plug Friends of the Library here a lot?
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did like maybe once or twice. And once more never hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been doing in recent years that I think has been really nice is we've created a newsletter. So if you're a member of Friends of the Library, you can get information about what we're doing at FANT. And I think that's been really fun to kind of stay connected to the library and the news of what we're doing, what kind of events we have going on. We always have author talks, and we do music in the library, and all of these great things. So, just staying connected, following us on social media.
Yes, that's a major one.
Yeah.
I mean, the newsletter is also really fun to read, because you're not only seeing those of us on faculty or staff, but you're also getting a couple interview portions from students. You're seeing things on a larger impact, and of course, following our socials. We post near about, for sure, weekly. but near about every single day, depending on what we have going on for events. You know, we're in kind of our lull season, but we'll be kicking off a lot more events coming in August.
Yeah, August is our first, late August is our first community read event.
Yes.
We're reading James by Percival Everett in the fall, which I'm really excited about.
Yes.
That's a great book, and I think we're gonna have some displays related to James. Obviously, we're gonna have those community read discussions, which we've been doing those for years now, and I think that those are always so interesting. We get a great mix of students and faculty members, and also just members from, because it's the community read, from the greater community of Columbus, who will come in and they'll all, you know, chat about their experiences reading the book and how they connect with it. So I'm really excited for that to come back in August.
Because wasn't, y'all had one, what is it, Praise Song? Was that one of your community reads?
That was one of our idea book talks. We often do that. So we do community reads usually in the fall. And then often in the winter semester, we will do idea book talks. And one of our idea book talks was Praise Song for the Kitchen Ghosts. And that book was really interesting because it's like part memoir, part cookbook. And then at the end, our final event, the attendees all made a recipe from the book, and we had a little like potluck party. And yeah, so those are always really fun events. And anyone in the community is welcome to those.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, feel free to go on our socials and look when our next event is going to be, or we do have our events listed on MUW's website, and just find ways to get connected with us. There's plenty of opportunities, and you know, even if you feel like I haven't found an opportunity that I'm connecting with yet, feel free to come up to the front desk, talk to us. Well, let's see if we can find out an event, or maybe there's something that we would like to create, or you know, find a new way to involve ourselves with the community. But you know, again, we like to reiterate this every single episode. We're not so scary at the front desk. Please come and talk to us. We really enjoy those that do come and speak with us, and we like hearing all these new ideas. You know, we try to take in everything into consideration, and you know, with our dean, we try to make things possible. Yeah, I don't know, maybe we're a little bit more of the optimistic types up here, but yeah, we just hope that y'all are gonna continually engage with us, and not only hearing this podcast, but you know, start asking questions of how you want to get involved, and whether or not that's even with us here at Band or with your public libraries. There's several public libraries throughout Mississippi, and even, you know, find ways that you can get connected, or you know, be a support.
Yes, support your library. Let's see, so on LibTalk, we like to ask a fun question before we end. And so I think my fun question for you would be, what is your favorite collection that you have worked on? Yeah, it's a hard one.
Favorite collection I've worked on. I mean, it's kind of a repeat answer. It's that Blanche collection.
Well, besides the Blanche collection.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I've said Blanche, I've said vinyl, I've said Masters theses. What else is there?
What about the games collection? I was like, I love the games collection.
There you go. My first answer that's perfect and original is the games collection, which is a collection of games that we have. But yeah, the games collection is actually a really fun collection. It was based on a donation. Again, you know, donations are a huge part of the library, and we kind of built it out from there. So it's both like a collection of just fun, entertaining games, but we're also focused on games that have some sort of educational component as well. So we've been kind of building that out a little bit, and I think our goal in the fall actually is to get like the covers of the board games out on the shelves. They're already cataloged. You can find them in the catalog if you just search games collection. They should pop up for you. But we are hoping to get like a physical version of the games out on the shelves for students and faculty to take a look at, and you can check them out and play them. So yeah.
Yeah, so if you need another opportunity of a brain break at the library, guess what? We have games. I know we've talked about that in our first episode, but now this
Yeah.
is like an actual reality, like, hey, come to the desk, come check out a game.
And you met the person who made that available, like on our catalog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
It's
you know,
Jared.
if there's a
Wow.
book or
I've
anything.
never felt more famous
I know.
than being on this podcast.
We need to have like a Hall of Fame, you know, I don't know, like our own Hollywood walk or something, just like
Yeah.
our stars and going down the main strip.
Face on a cart.
Yes,
The
yes.
card of fame.
Oh, the card of fame.
Oh.
One of the good ones, not the squeaky one.
I know, sometimes you just need a little WD-40 on them. I will say my red cart used to be like the squeakiest one that we had, and everyone could tell if I was walking through because everyone's like, oh, there's that squeak again. And I finally just had enough and put like some droplets of oil in it. Anyways, I'm just talking now. But yeah.
Lots of cart culture covered
Lots
in
of-
this podcast, which is an
See?
important part of librarianship, is just carts.
Entirely.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad that we don't have funny names for them.
That can be changed.
Yes.
I'll have a collection of names now.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, feel free to come and say hi to Jared or Michaela or Rob, and you know, put a name to the face of someone that has helped gather all these collections together for you. But Michaela, do we have any other questions, or Jared, if you have any?
Well, I think that we should name a cart Scartface, like Scarface, but it's a cart. That's my final thought.
I like Dolly Parton.
It is cute. I think
That's-
I like
that's a
both.
good one.
We certainly have
Or maybe like-
where everyone can name one.
Carton Daily. Did anyone
Oh,
watch TRL?
oh, that would
Yeah,
be good.
Carton Daily.
I know it might be low hanging fruit, but Cartman, and just have a South Cart, just a collection of South Cart, and
Excellent.
I don't know, we need to brainstorm some of these ideas and just have, you know, I don't know, comment below, what do you think would be a good name for a library cart?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
We are so fun.
We are, you know, barrels of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, now you know.
There you go.
Excellent.
Yes. I do have Jared. He's very modest, as we've established, but he so he failed to mention that he is also, well, we are also working on what's the right word? Refreshing the art reference section.
Yeah, yeah. So we're kind of doing this reimagining of what our reference section looks like, in part because, like I said, we're trying to get games out on shelves, so we need some shelf space. But yeah, we're kind of moving art books up to stacks, and we're doing a big review of our art books, which is always fun. Like that's another part of librarianship, is just constantly like maintaining our collections, reviewing our collection materials. And so that's something I'm going to be doing over the summer. But yeah, it's fun to dig into those collections, especially art, because every book is so unique and interesting. So yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot.
My coworkers, they don't brag on themselves enough, and so now I have to have them brag. I feel like I've succeeded.
I feel like sometimes you just are doing the work, you know, it's like your day to day. You don't necessarily think like, oh, this is something special that's worth talking about. But yeah.
Well, I mean, just think about, like, in the collections that you've told us about, the numbers, like, just the volume of these collections, and knowing that it's, you know, maybe at most, what would you say, like, the largest team of working on a single collection has been?
Largest team? Probably if we're talking about including student workers as well, which our student workers are always a big help in a lot of these projects, probably vinyl. Because that's been a multi-year project that has had multiple stages, because vinyl records just need more work than like a book
Right.
to process. So that's probably been the biggest team. I would not be surprised if we've had like a dozen people all told working on the vinyl project in some capacity. So yeah, that's probably been the biggest one.
Yeah, and just for sake of the record, how many items are in the vinyl collection?
Our count at the end of our inventory was 7,040.
So think about this, 7,040 individual vinyls are only being processed or worked with by a dozen or so
Yeah.
people. That's a massive amount of undertaking to have to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize, like, yeah, oh yeah, we're processing books or processing vinyls or processing whatever items we have, but that's a lot of time devoted to a singular set of items. You know, that's a lot of care and detail that has to go into it, and even with a group of a dozen or so, that's still, you know, having a lot to coordinate with.
Yeah, and I think another part of this whole process of cataloging too that is probably worth discussing. We are sometimes cataloging things that are very rare, or sometimes are like a single item that's, you know, we're the only institution that has it. So we do a lot of our cataloging on a service called WorldCat, which is the World Catalog. Libraries all over the world are involved in it, and you add your catalog records to that kind of group catalog. So it really is helping, I think, too, to expand the world's knowledge of what we have here at the university. So that's a big part of what we do, is also just kind of making public record what we have, so that researchers know where to go to access materials and do interlibrary loan, which is your area.
Which is
Yeah,
what I do.
yeah. So that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah. Thank you for also putting the plug about interlibrary loans, because again, if there's a book that you want to request or need help acquiring, or even that goes with articles, yeah, we're there to help, and it's you know, again, it's that connective capability of libraries. And
It's very cool how libraries all work together.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, it makes it feel like we have our own collection, of course, which is our like immediate collection, but it becomes so much more expansive when you think about things like interlibrary loan. You know, as long as a book is held by some library and they're willing to circulate it,
Yeah.
it can be in the hands of our students and faculty.
Well, like this one request we had, it was a book from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't really think about like how expansive these systems are until you see it in full practice. Because I mean, this is libraries thousands and thousands of miles away from us, yet still with the same view of hospitality or service, or just, I don't know, maybe it's I don't know, but yeah.
We support you all and each other.
Yeah.
We support your goals, and we support the library's goals, and I think that says a lot about who we are as individuals and as a team.
Definitely.
Go us.
Go us!
All right. If there's nothing else to add, we can say goodbye to our wonderful listeners. Okay.
Bye, listeners.
Thank you, Jared, for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
And we will see y'all at the next episode, and
Maybe
bye-bye.
I'll return. I'll never leave.
Yeah.